So, as you can see, we have a lot going on Monday. One of the main things we have going on is that Jupiter is moving into Cancer, and it's going to be there for the next year. So that's a biggie that's happening this week. But as you can see on Monday, we have a lot of challenges going on. We have the Mercury Saturn square, Mercury Neptune square, and then we have this Venus Pluto square. So I will get into that for each sign. The full moon on Wednesday is going to be at 20 degrees, and it's going to be 100% at about 3:44 in the morning, and that's New York City time. So again, check out the disclaimer for this video, and let's get into it. Now, I will timestamp each zodiac sign, so you can fast forward to your sign if you would like. Okay, Aries. So for you, we have Mercury in Cancer right here. Right here. Let me color code it. This is Mercury right here, and then we have Saturn here and Neptune here. So your challenge, because squares represent challenges, your challenge is going to be with Mercury in Cancer. You're thinking about ways to comfort your family, to satisfy your family. But then the Saturn and Neptune square is asking you to take care of yourself, to think about yourself a little bit. Neptune is asking you to think about things, create things that you want to do for yourself. Saturn is helping you to dot your I's, cross your T's related to doing something for yourself. So that's going to be your challenge. Doing something for yourself related to doing something for your family. So that's going to be a challenge for you this week. Now, moving on to what's going on with the square between Venus and Pluto. So Pluto is in Aquarius. Pluto wants to transform something by any means necessary. Meanwhile, Venus is over here. Venus is very satisfied. Venus loves being in Taurus. So it's in house 2. Venus is in house 2. So as Venus has moved into Taurus, a lot of you Aries are feeling very comfortable with your finances, with your self-worth. The challenge is coming from Pluto. Pluto is asking you, okay, I think you need to up your exposure to networking. Or Pluto is asking you to change something about your friendships. Remember, Pluto is in a square to Venus. So this aspect is all about transforming something in your life. So Pluto wants you to transform something related to the groups you are associated with, or something related to the people you are associated with. And that is going to bring about a transformation in your self-worth. And it could also possibly bring you opportunities to increase your finances. Moving on to Jupiter. Jupiter is moving into Cancer. So over the next year, you might find yourself really doing things, buying things to beautify your home, to help your family members out, things of that nature. Also, we have the full moon on Wednesday, and it's happening in your 9th house. So you might have a legal matter that is coming to a culmination. You might finally book that trip you've been thinking about. Something in related to your 9th house. It could be education. It could be higher education. Maybe you will finally enroll in those classes you've been thinking about taking. But the full moon is bringing something in your 9th house to a culmination. Okay, Taurus, for you, the challenge of Mercury in a square to Saturn and also in a square to Neptune, that challenge for you is going to possibly present itself dealing with communication. It looks like Mercury is bringing you a lot of different interactions. Meanwhile, your challenge is that you really just want to be alone. You really, in your 12th, Saturn and Neptune are in your 12th house. The 12th house is the place where you do your planning behind the scenes. So your challenge is going to be trying to find that alone time and quiet time to do your planning. Meanwhile, Mercury is bringing you a lot of different interactions. Okay. Jupiter is moving into Cancer in your 3rd house. So over the next year, you might find that you have an uptick in a lot of your communications with your local community. Now, let's look at the yellow section. So the yellow boxes represent the square between Venus and Pluto. And I really do like this square because this square is helping us to get out of complacency. So for you, Taurus, there is something related to maybe your self-image, your outlook on life that you have become complacent with. And this challenge is going to help you to get out of that stagnation. So Pluto in Aquarius is in your 10th house. The 10th house can be dealing with career. It can deal with your public image. So you are going to be challenged to get out of your comfort zone related to how you look, how you actually feel about the world at large. So that challenge, that square between Venus and Pluto is actually going to help bring you out of whatever shell you might have been in over the past few months. Moving on to the white area of the chart. This is the full moon in Sagittarius. So for you, Taurus, the full moon in Sagittarius is happening in your 8th house. So you might see a tax matter come to a culmination. You might see a loan matter. Maybe you've been applying for a loan, or maybe you're finally going to pay it off. It's something dealing with taxes or loans, or even you might have some type of finances or money that you share with someone else. Something is going to come to a culmination related to any one of those things. And with Jupiter, like I mentioned, with Jupiter moving into your area of communication, you might find over this next year that you have an uptick in your interactions with your local community and also with your siblings and maybe your close family members like your cousins and things like that. Okay, Gemini. So your challenge this week is going to be, it looks like with Mercury moving into Cancer, it is in your 2nd house, and you have Saturn and Neptune in your 11th house. So your challenge might be your feelings with money. You might be feeling kind of like attached to your money, or you might be talking a lot about, your self-worth, your finances, and your challenge is going to be your associations. So you might have a little bit of a challenge saving money or sticking to your routine or your budget because of the fact that you might have a lot of networking opportunities with the square between Mercury and Cancer, and Saturn and Neptune being in your 11th house. So that could be a challenge for you this week. Sticking to your budget versus networking or going out with your friends. That's the light blue area that I'm talking about. Now let's move on to the yellow area. The yellow area is showing a square between Venus in Taurus in your 12th house and Pluto in Aquarius in your 9th house. So Venus in Taurus in your 12th house That's showing you where you are going to be very comfortable, because Venus is very comfortable in Taurus. So it looks like you will be very comfortable doing things behind the scenes, spending alone time. And Pluto is asking you to expand your awareness. Be more aware of your surroundings. Get out of the house, or, get out of your shell and do more things. Do more things related to expanding your knowledge of other cultures. This is going to be your challenge. And again, I feel like the challenge between Venus and Pluto is going to be a good thing for a lot of people, because Venus in Taurus can be very complacent. And I'm saying complacent because Venus in Taurus is very satisfied, very content. And sometimes when we're content, we need a little push to get us out of our shell, to expose ourselves to different things. And so Pluto in Aquarius, which is in a square to Venus in Taurus, is going to do just that for everybody. It's just happening in different areas of the chart for different people. Now, the full moon is happening in your seventh house. The full moon in Taurus is going to be happening in your seventh house. So there might be a contract that comes to a close. There might be a relationship that ends, like a close relationship for some Geminis, that is coming to an end. Remember, Jupiter moves into Cancer. So over the next year, you might find yourself expanding your emotions about how you think about your self-worth. Okay, Cancer. So for you, let's look at the light blue area first. The light blue area represents the square between Mercury and Saturn, and also Mercury and Neptune. So for you, Mercury moving into Cancer is really going to have you thinking about your inner dialogue. And the challenge for you is going to be your public image. So over the next week, you might be having a little bit of a challenge between your inner self, your self-talk versus how you need to portray yourself in the public or on your job. It could be a case where your job wants you to do something and you just feel like you just might not want to feel like doing it. This might play out for you in ways such as maybe you are arriving late to your job or to your public engagements. Like maybe you might have to give a speech, but you might arrive late because the Mercury in Cancer has you thinking about how you actually feel about it. And that could cause you to kind of like move at a slower pace, basically. Because Saturn in Aries, Neptune in Aries is kind of like moving at a faster pace than Mercury in Cancer. So just be aware of that. Now let's talk about the yellow boxes. The yellow boxes represent the square between Venus and Pluto. Wherever Venus is showing you where you will be very comfortable and very complacent. And Pluto in Aquarius is in your 8th house. So Pluto in Aquarius is challenging you to change something related to your friendships. Okay, it could be something related to joint finances or bank loans. It could be related to insurance. But I feel like this is a great square because it's going to have a lot of people transforming things in their lives. And for you, this is definitely bringing a transformation to the way you network. It's bringing a transformation to your interaction with your friends as well. Moving on to the white area of the chart, the full moon in Sagittarius. The full moon in Sagittarius might bring a health matter to a culmination for a lot of Cancers. It could be a health matter. It could also be a daily routine matter that comes to a culmination as well. So be on the lookout for that. And with Jupiter moving into your first house, there's going to be an expansion of the way you feel about yourself over the next year. Leo. So let's talk about the full moon in Sagittarius. It looks like a lot of you are going to have a matter related to your children that comes to a culmination at this full moon in Sagittarius. There could also be a culmination related to romance or even a creative project you've been working on. Let's move on to the light blue areas. The light blue area represents Mercury in a square to Saturn and also a square to Neptune. So this week, Mercury in Cancer is feeling just like resting. You might be feeling like resting. Meanwhile, the square with Neptune and Saturn in Aries is going to be a challenging situation because Saturn and Neptune in Aries in your ninth house is asking you to expand your awareness, increase the amount of things that you're doing. Meanwhile, Mercury in Cancer just wants to be alone, just wants to sit down somewhere and think things through. So that is going to be a challenge for a lot of Leos, finding a balance between increasing or adding on to your responsibilities or adding on to the amount of things that you're doing versus spending time alone in silence, getting your thoughts together. Okay. Now, Jupiter moves into Cancer in your 12th house. So over the next year, a lot of Leos might find themselves being more in hermit mode. So just remember that. Now let's move over to look at the yellow squares. The yellow squares represent Venus in a square to Pluto. So Venus in Taurus can be a very complacent energy because Venus in Taurus is very satisfied, very happy. Venus in Taurus doesn't see any need to really change anything. And that's where Pluto in Aquarius comes in. This is the challenge. The challenge for a lot of Leos are going to be to commit to putting more effort into your public image. Commit to moving up on your job if you work. You see, Pluto in Aquarius in your 7th house can talk about your commitments, your serious commitments. So the challenge for a lot of Leos is going to be getting out of your comfort zone on your job or in your contribution to the world, because this is involving the 10th house. Venus is in the 10th house. So Venus in Taurus for a lot of Leos is showing you where you are content in your reputation, where you are content in your leadership style. But Pluto in Aquarius is bringing you a challenge of committing more to your leadership, to being a leader, committing more to being a leader, committing more to entering into legal agreements such as contracts, okay, or business partnerships. So that's going to be the challenge. Remember, I feel like this square between Venus and Pluto is going to be a good thing for everyone because it's going to help you get out of your comfort zone. Because Venus in Taurus can show us where we are very comfortable, where we might need a little bit of a push to get out of that complacency. Okay, Virgo. It looks like a lot of you might have a family matter that comes to a culmination at the full moon. And the square between Venus and Pluto is going to help you to get out of your comfort zone as far as how you deal with other cultures or how you feel about other countries, things of that nature. Because is Pluto is in Aquarius in your sixth house. Your sixth house can deal with your daily routine. So this might be encouraging you. This square might be encouraging you to get out of your comfort zone and see more of the world. Now, looking at the light blue area, we have the square between Mercury and Saturn and also Mercury and Neptune. And so for a lot of Virgos, there might be a friendship that you've been holding on to, but the square is bringing you a challenge of putting that relationship to, or bringing it to an end, because Pluto can deal with endings. So just keep that in mind. Now, Jupiter moves into Cancer, and that's going to be in your 11th house. So if you do have to end any friendships during the next 2 weeks, just know that over the next year, Jupiter is going to be bringing you more people, bringing in more friendships, new friendships. Libra, this full moon could be bringing a communication issue to a culmination. It's the full moon in Sagittarius is happening in your third house. The third house can deal with communication. It can also deal with transportation. So there might be some type of transportation issue that comes to a culmination as well, or some type of situation that's happening with a sibling that comes to a culmination. Now, moving on to the light blue areas, we have Mercury in Cancer in a square to Saturn and also in a square to Neptune in Aries. This is going to bring a lot of Libras a challenge related to your responsibilities on your job. Now, Jupiter moves into Cancer this week. So over the next year, you might find that you are having more job opportunities, more opportunities to maybe expand your business if you are self-employed. You might have more opportunities to be more active in your community if you don't work. So Jupiter in Cancer should be very positive for Libra risings. Now, moving on to the yellow squares. The yellow squares represent Venus in a square to Pluto. So Venus in Taurus for Libras is in your 8th house. So your 8th house might be a place where you are very complacent while Venus is there, because Venus is very happy and content to be in Taurus. So you might be very content with your, let's say, your credit cards or your loans. Like a lot of you Libras are very content with how much money you owe others, or how much of a commingling of finances you're doing with others. And your challenge is going to be to get involved in a creative project. This creative project might require you to seek out an investor. So that's just an example of how this can play out for some Libras. In my opinion, this is a great square because Pluto in Aquarius is going to help you to get out of your complacency. Wherever Venus in Taurus is in your chart, it is going to help you to get out of your complacency and to kind of like expand. Actually, it might end some things so that something new can flourish in your life. So that's really great. If this is related to, let's say this is related to your child. So maybe you have been bending over backwards, providing support for your child, and you might realize that that needs to end. Pluto in Aquarius might show you where your relationship with your child or your romantic partner needs to come to an end so that you can realize how you've been bending over backwards related to supporting them. So that's just an example of how that can play out. I really feel like the Venus Pluto square is going to be good for everyone.